Big news hit the world when former U.S. President Donald Trump announced scary new tariffs on several countries, including the Philippines. These taxes on imports were part of his bold America First plan, meant to protect American factories and bring jobs back home. But here's the shocking part: the Philippines didn't panic at all. Not even a little. While many nations were shaken by this tough move, the Philippines stood firm. You might wonder, wouldn't this hurt the Filipino economy? Surprisingly, not as much as you'd think. Let's break it down. Back in 2018, Trump started hitting countries with tariffs soon after he became the 45th U.S. president. The U.S. was struggling with a trade imbalance, meaning it was buying more goods from other countries than it was selling. That included the Philippines. But guess what? The Philippines didn't see this as a disaster. In fact, some experts say it was just a small bump in the road. Despite Trump's aggressive move, the Philippines remained calm, showing the world that it takes more than a trade war to shake their spirit. When Donald Trump became president, he launched his bold America First plan, and it came with a serious punch. Trump and his team believed that the U.S. was being treated unfairly in global trade. So, what did he do? He started slapping big taxes, tariffs, on products coming into the U.S., especially things like steel, aluminum, and electronics, including from China. The goal? Two things. First, make American-made products cheaper and more attractive than foreign goods. Second, push American companies to stop relying on imports and start making things at home again. Trump said other countries were cheating the system, keeping American goods out while flooding the U.S. with their own. But here's where it gets even more interesting. What does all this mean for the Philippines? A country that's long been one of America's closest friends and trade partners in Asia. With the U.S. shaking up global trade, even close allies like the Philippines were suddenly in the spotlight. Could this strong partnership survive the tariff storm, or would things take a surprising turn? The Philippines and the United States go way back, over 100 years of history, friendship, and deep connections. From the time America ruled the Philippines as a colony to becoming strong military allies and close trade partners, the bond between the two nations has always been special. They've shared deals, helped each other in wars, and even influenced each other's cultures. But here's the twist! Despite this close friendship, the Philippines suddenly found itself targeted by Trump's aggressive trade war. Why? Because of a growing trade gap. While the U.S. sells a lot to the Philippines, like cars, machines, and military gear, the Philippines also sends a huge amount back, especially electronics and farm goods. In fact, the country is a top supplier of electronic parts like semiconductors, which are super important for making U.S. tech devices. So, even a close friend wasn't safe when Trump decided to shake up global trade. But wait, there's even more at stake. The Philippines doesn't just export tech gadgets to the U.S., it also sends tons of coconut oil, bananas, pineapples, and other farm goods. All these products could be hit hard by Trump's harsh new tariffs. For Trump, this wasn't just about numbers, it was about what he called fair trade. He believed that countries like the Philippines were taking full advantage of America's open markets while not giving the same access to U.S. businesses in return. Even though the Philippines was a loyal friend of the United States, Trump's team felt that its trade policies were part of the problem. They thought the Philippines was helping grow the U.S. trade deficit, so in their eyes, slapping tariffs was a way to push for a better deal. But this kind of move could cause serious trouble for the Philippines. Here's why. The U.S. is the second biggest trading partner of the Philippines. If trade between the two countries is disrupted, big parts of the Filipino economy could suffer. Industries in the Philippines that depend on selling to the U.S., especially electronics factories, are most at risk. These companies build key items like semiconductors, which are used in phones, computers, and all kinds of tech. If these products get taxed more, costs could skyrocket, making them too expensive to compete in the U.S. market. That means lost jobs, lower exports, and a shaky economy back home. But things could get worse. These U.S. tariffs are a real danger to some of the Philippines' most important farm exports, especially coconut oil, which supports thousands of Filipino farmers and small businesses. If American buyers suddenly stop buying and look for cheaper options from other countries, Filipino exports could take a serious hit. That would mean less money flowing into the country and huge struggles for those who depend on farming for survival. What makes it even more frustrating is that the Philippines had been trying hard to build stronger trade ties with the US in past years. Deals were being made, trust was growing. But now, Trump's tariffs have put all that at risk. To really understand how we got here, we need to look at the long, deep relationship between these two nations. Back in the early 1900s, the Philippines was actually a US colony, and trade was booming. America sent over machines and clothes, and in return, it brought back Philippine sugar and coconut oil. That trade helped the Philippines grow its economy and build its industries. Now, after over 100 years of trading, this once strong partnership is facing a shocking shakeup. Will history repeat itself or take a turn for the worse? After the Philippines got its freedom from the US in 1946, the two countries didn't drift apart. They stayed super close when it came to trade. In fact, during the 1950s and 60s, the Philippines became one of the top buyers of American products in all of Asia. While the US was rebuilding after World War II, the Philippines played a huge role in helping out, offering valuable natural resources like copper, nickel, and gold. America couldn't get enough. In return, the US sent over machinery, cars, and new technology, and it didn't stop there. The Bell Trade Act of 1946 gave the US a sweet deal, letting American products enter the Philippines without extra taxes. Filipino exports were also welcomed into the US market. This trade friendship kept getting stronger for years, but not without controversy. But things didn't stay the same forever. Over time, the way the Philippines and the US did business changed big time. The Philippines shifted gears from mostly sending raw goods like coconuts and copper to becoming a rising star in manufacturing. In the 1970s and 80s, the country poured resources into factories making clothes, textiles, and electronics. But it was the tech world where the Philippines really made noise. By the 1980s, it became a crucial player in the global electronics game, right where the US still had power. Big American tech giants like Intel and Texas Instruments saw this and rushed in, building massive semiconductor plants in the Philippines. By the time the 2000s rolled in, the Philippines wasn't just a supplier of parts, it had become a go-to hub for electronics and also a booming place for outsourcing jobs, thanks to its smart English-speaking workers. The game had changed and fast. The Philippines quickly turned into a hotspot for call centers and IT jobs, becoming one of the top places for outsourcing. This gave a big boost to its trade power. Even though the trade focus had changed over the years, the Philippines and the US kept a strong relationship, thanks to special deals like the Generalized System of Preferences from the 1970s. This allowed Philippine products like electronics, clothes, and farm goods to enter the US with little or no tax. But everything took a sharp turn when Donald Trump came in with his America First plan. He slapped high taxes, tariffs, on steel, aluminum, and electronics, even things from trusted partners like the Philippines. This shocked the Filipino economy, shaking industries that relied on the US market. To fight back, the Philippines didn't sit still. It started looking for new trade partners and worked harder to build strong ties with other countries before it was too late. The Philippines didn't sit back and watch while global trade shifted. It started making big moves, building trade deals with countries like China, Japan, and its Asian neighbors. It even joined talks to enter a huge trade group called the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, a powerful pact between 15 Asia-Pacific countries, aiming to boost trade and strengthen the region's economy. At the same time, the Philippines pushed hard to become a key player in the global market, using its strength in electronics, semiconductor production, and outsourcing services to stay competitive. But what does all this mean for regular Filipinos? A lot. The Philippine economy depends heavily on exports, and many local businesses rely on sending their goods overseas. Especially to the US, Trump's surprise tariffs could seriously shake things up. For example, electronics like semiconductors, a top export, might become more expensive in America, causing demand to drop. That means Filipino factories could lose big money and even jobs. And it's not just tech. Bananas, pineapples, and coconuts could also get hit hard. These are everyday products grown by local farmers, and if the US buys less, their livelihoods could be at risk. Tariffs on Filipino products like bananas, coconuts, and pineapples could be a major blow to the country. If these products become more expensive in the US market, American buyers might choose cheaper goods from other countries. That would mean less demand, and for Filipino farmers, this could lead to smaller profits or even serious income loss. After all, the United States is one of the biggest buyers of these goods. But here's the twist: it's not all bad news. The Philippine government saw this coming and has been getting ready for years. Instead of depending only on the US, the country started building new trade ties with powerful economies like China, Japan, and South Korea. When the tariffs hit in 2018, the Philippines didn't panic. It took a smart and quick approach, jumping into diplomatic talks with the US to soften the impact. The goal: protect local industries and avoid long-term damage. At the same time, the government continued to expand trade networks with other countries to reduce risk. But now, here's a shocking thought. Should the Philippines hit back with its own tariffs? At first, it sounds like fair payback, but is it really the best move? That question opens the door to deeper economic strategy and long-term planning. If the US slaps tariffs on Philippine goods, you might think the Philippines should strike back by hitting American imports with tariffs too. But it's not that simple. As a member of the World Trade Organization, the Philippines has to think carefully about the long-term effects. Imposing tariffs on US products could backfire, especially for Filipino consumers. American-made goods like electronics and machinery are key in the Philippines, and raising tariffs would make these items more expensive. That could cause prices to rise, leading to higher living costs and inflation. So, instead of retaliating, the government should focus on working through diplomacy. By strengthening ties with other countries and forming new trade deals, the Philippines can keep its economy strong while avoiding a full-blown trade war that could damage important relationships in the future. This smart approach could keep the country's economy safe and growing.